Well, it's a pleasure to be here with you today. I want to just talk a little bit about beauty, about inner and outer beauty. A few years ago, I got to my work as an occupational therapist, and I noticed sticking out of my purse this little orange triangle. And I said, oh, look, I bet I know what that is. My daughter has always been one that would leave, sweet little love notes to me at different places. I don't know if you have a kid like that, but it warms your heart. And I thought, she's left me this little, so I was so excited. Oh, a love note. I pull it out, and it says, Mom, Mom, Mom. Oh, that's so sweet. Open it up. She knows what I like. Yeah. Ice cream sundae? Awesome. I open it up, and I read, Mama, just a little hot fudge sundae to cheer up a long work day. The picture is to remind you not to get to this point. This is the best picture I could find to sum up your mental pause moments. It's a nice subtle reminder that we really love nice mom, not the crazy woman in the picture. But appearance is important to us, and rightly so. The God of beauty created us women with an appreciation for beauty in our spirits. A glorious sunset, the tiny fingers of a newborn baby, sunlight sparkling on a lake. We're drawn to beauty. We yearn to drink it in as it captivates our minds, nourishes our souls, and inspires our hearts. We want to experience beauty, to enjoy it, to create it, to be it. So we devote our energies, our resources, and our time to making ourselves more beautiful. What woman doesn't want to feel attractive, fascinating, ravishing? When we feel pretty, we get a natural high, a boost in our self-confidence. When we're at our physical best, our spirits soar, and our attitude about beauty, which I call beautitude, leaps into I want more mode. So we shop, we highlight, we polish, we peel, we gloss, and we push up to get more. The problem arises when, like with any other addiction, we can't stop. My friend Lydia, who is beauty queen gorgeous, found out the hard way how obsession with appearance can have disastrous results. One day in 2004, Lydia began experiencing a low-grade fever and blurred vision. Within hours, a rare virus had caused complete blindness in her left eye and 50% loss of vision in her right eye. The consequences were Coke bottle glasses and a host of steroid-induced symptoms. Lydia's long, lustrous hair fell out in clumps, resulting in the use of a wig even now, all these years later. Her normally petite, slim figure ballooned, and her skin aged so badly that Lydia says, even my knees wrinkled. Nothing was untouched. How did Lydia, the enviable woman with perfect nails, flawless makeup, and size 4 designer clothing, the woman whose self-esteem had always been wrapped up in glamour, how did she deal with the sudden loss of the image for which she had been admired for so long? Well, in Lydia's own words, my looks were the most important thing to me. My husband says I was one of the vainest people he's ever met. And then God took that away. I was intensely angry at first and miserable, but it's a funny thing. I've grown closer to God in my dependency. Now I don't have to worry about or think about myself so much. I can focus on what's really important. What's really important? If it's not beauty, what is it? One sweltering Central Florida day, not very long ago, and I know we have some tennis players in here, so you'll appreciate this story. I had just finished playing tennis, and I had sweated off all my makeup, and my hair was just slicked down, and I was like Pigpen's sister, oh, and it was just a nasty mess, and I stopped at a gas station on my way home. So I got out and I was pumping gas into my car, and I happened to look up and see my reflection in the car window. So there I'm pumping, and that can take all day depending upon the size of your car. And so I'm this far away from my reflection, and the way the sun was hitting it, every bag, every pore, every little flaw showed up loud and clear. Well, my mind flashed back to this defining moment years before when I was a chubby 12-year-old. And I was standing on the high dive at a public pool. I had been watching the teenagers jump off that high dive all afternoon, and I had always been scared to go up there. But I said, you know what? I'm going to do it today. I'm going to do it. And I rustled up the courage, and I climbed up that long ladder up to that high dive. And I walked all the way out, and I was standing on the edge looking down. And suddenly, I just felt totally exposed. I was 12 years old, my body was changing, and I had always been a chubby girl. And I just felt humiliated and exposed and embarrassed. And I thought, I just can't, I'm not going to do this, I can't do this. And I started to back away from the edge, and I bumped into the older girl behind me, a teenage girl who was older and bigger than me. And she shook her head and said with contempt, "You don't belong up here. You're chicken. You're fat, and you're ugly." Well, I jumped because it was the only way to hide the tears. And so fast forward 40 years, and I'm standing in a gas station still struggling with the same ugliness issue. But you know what? I know something now that I didn't know then. I know now that seeing myself as ugly and treating myself as worthless is just plain wrong. It's a slap in the face to my Creator who made me in His image and loves me just the way I am. Well, after the initial shock of my gas pump revelation, I was surprised to find that I truly didn't feel ugly. In fact, I started to feel beautiful. And it was then that I realized that beauty is a linear process, and it goes like this. A, because of the affirmation I received from my close relationship with Papa God, I feel loved. B, because I know I'm loved, I feel valued. And C, because I rest in the assurance that I'm valued, I feel beautiful. I'll say it again. I feel beautiful. And you can feel beautiful too, despite the cold hard evidence you think you see in the mirror. That evidence is just a crock of lies that the world imposes on you as its unattainable standard of beauty. Nobody, and I repeat, nobody is naturally flaw-free, wrinkle-free, or sag-free. And it's not fair for us to compare ourselves with that waif-like model in the media. They're not real. They're enhanced and airbrushed. And we just have to remember that. Okay, this is your therapy for today, girls. Repeat after me. Mirrors are stupid. Ready? Mirrors are stupid. All right, now say it again like you really mean it. Ready? Mirrors are stupid. So my husband brought me the newspaper. I flipped it open, and right there on the front page it said, "Monkeys in concert tonight." So 7 o'clock that evening found me happily encamped in the handicapped row. I had my leg elevated like a battering ram on the elevated wheelchair leg, right straight out in front of me. And I was kind of squished down in there, and the handicapped row was right beside the stage. It couldn't have been better seats. And the poor long-suffering man, my husband, who couldn't stand the monkeys, had to go sit in the way back to watch the monkeys to wait. So anyway, so there I was. And I was just so excited, and I said hello to the lady in the wheelchair on my left, and I turned to the right, and there was a young man there, and I smiled at him, and he was kind of squished up with his hands across his chest, and he smiled back, and I saw on his wheelchair there was a little sticker. It said, "A property of Tommy." I was very happy to work up a conversation with Tommy, and he was a delightful young man. He made up for chattiness with enthusiasm. He was nonverbal, but he could make these noises, and he could laugh. Oh my goodness, he had the biggest, deepest, most wonderful laugh, and his whole body shook. So we were just having this wonderful time. I told him all about my Davy Jones and Peter Tork posters when I was growing up, and my crushes, and how they were all over the pink walls of my bedroom, and he just thought that was hilarious. And so the concert started, and you know how you just click with some people? Well, I just clicked with Tommy, and we just had a great time. We were elbowing each other, and we were, giggling like giddy kids. And it was just a wonderful concert. And then all of a sudden, the lights went down, and the cell phones glowing went up. And Davey launched into my all-time favorite, Daydream Believer. And all over that auditorium, hands started swaying up in the air, left and right, as we all sang at the top of our lungs about a young man's daydream believer, right? And his homecoming queen. You remember that, right? Some of you are humming along with me. All right, so it was a magical moment, and I was not about to let Tommy miss this. So I grabbed his arm, and I'm wrestling it up in the air as high as I can, which wasn't very high because he was pretty tight. And we get it up there, and then I start shoving he and me both back and forth so that we're keeping time with everybody else. And Tommy just howled with glee, and drool was just flying everywhere. And I was just dripping wet by the time the song was ended, but it didn't matter because we were having fun. And then the concert finally ended, and these two folks, older couple, white-haired, appeared out of the regular seats behind us, and it was Tommy's parents. And the woman had tears in her eyes. And I just want to read this last part. This was one of those lump in the throat moments, but she said to me, "Tommy doesn't get out much," she said, smiling at her boy, who kept his eyes glued to my face, as if he were memorizing my features. "Most people are afraid to touch him, but you've been gracious enough to treat him like anyone else. I've never seen him so happy. He's always been a daydream believer, and now you're his homecoming queen. Thank you for giving him the best night of his life." The best night of his life? I was stunned. For weeks afterward, I thought about what she had said. I hadn't been trying to do anything good, nothing gracious at all. Yet the Lord used the unlikely combination of a skiing accident, a generous husband, and a bubblegum concert to pour out his love on a very special young man. Maybe that's what goodness is. Nothing from within ourselves, but everything from God's orchestration. Perhaps goodness is not something we can manufacture by our own power, but only channel from our Heavenly Father. No one is good but one. That is God, Jesus reminded us in Matthew 19:17. Our God is a passionate God. He feels things, and he feels them strongly. We're made in his image, so we're going to feel things too, and we must never deny our feelings. We were created to feel. The only people who don't feel anger or resentment or jealousy are dead people. But after we passionately feel, we need to bring those emotions under Christ's submission and then respond accordingly. So sometimes when we get so angry, we just need to barf. We need to do it. And that is my acronym, BARF. BARF, B-A-R-F. B, back off. A, admit. R, redirect. And F, forgive. Okay, back off. Literally step back. Walk away. Turn your back on the source of your anger. Withdraw to gain a new perspective. And ask the Holy Spirit to calm you down and take you over. A, admit. Admit why you're upset. Name your emotion. Lord, I'm what? Jealous, hurt, insulted, envious, offended. Be as specific as you can. Identifying it is the first step in dealing with it. R, redirect. Redirect your emotions. Remember who is really responsible for your anger. It's not that person who offended you standing in front of you. It's the evil chuckling one with his proverbial pitchfork stuck in your back. Don't stay angry. Don't go to bed angry. And don't give the devil that kind of foothold in your life. Regardless of what the world tells us, it's not wimpy or weak to stifle that scream inside or to swallow that snippy retort that seems to load itself in your cannon all ready to fire. Self-control is courage fueled by integrity and supernatural power. It's something the average Jane doesn't have. It's possessed only by those willing to step back from the firing line and hand over the lit match. According to 2 Timothy 1, verse 7, God's Spirit doesn't make cowards out of us. The Spirit gives us power, love, and self-control. Did you catch that? The Spirit gives us self-control. That's where our best responses come from. Not our worst, not even our natural responses, but our best responses come from the Spirit who lives within us, but sometimes gets buried beneath smothering piles of self. Self-gratification, self-esteem issues, self-sufficiency. We forget how much we need Him until our cannon misfires a few times and we blow the head off an innocent bystander. When these seemingly out of control things happen, we can laugh, we can cry, we can die of embarrassment, or we can praise the Lord because we know He truly is in control. I do all of the above. Plus, I sing a little song I wrote that I want to share with you. All right, ready? Here we go. You've got it under control. You've got it under control, Lord. You've got it under control. When it gets out of hand, just help me understand. You've got it